Alright guys, and it's Thursday. We did have a surprise on the GDP for US. It came as a little bit lower than expected. So stay with me until the end that I will mention what do I think about that and how would I trade these GDP news. But before, let me go through what will happen still tonight on Thursday as well as tomorrow morning. Well, not in the morning, still at the night, midnight 30, but it's after midnight, so it's in the morning. Okay, so we're gonna have German CPI this is Australian time, okay, so just mentioning here again, at midnight, and the consensus is, it's month over month, and the consensus is at 0.5% from the previous of 0.2%. And then we're going to have year over year as well as midnight for February, of course, because tomorrow it's already March. We're going to have the consensus at 2.6% and the previous at 2.9%. So remember, guys, German has a big accountability for Europe, okay, because German holds most of Europe area. Therefore, there is a lot of impact on those news. Okay, so make sure to stay tuned and have a look on those numbers. My thoughts are that they come as expected or a few numbers higher, okay, giving strength to the euro and then making euro dollar go higher. I've mentioned about my trade on euro dollar, my long position, I think on Tuesday on my webinar. So if you haven't had time, if you haven't had the opportunity to yet join us on the webinar on Tuesday, you're lucky because we're going to have one tonight at 8 to 9 p.m. on Sydney time. So just make sure to have a look on what time is going to be that for you. Thursday, today, free, $0. You just need to register on our website or somewhere here down on the description, okay? Now, let's go for today news that we had at midnight 30. I was sleeping already. For GDP quarter over quarter four. Remember, if you are on my webinar last Tuesday or if you have watched the replay on YouTube, because we do post every Wednesday the replay from Tuesday's webinar and every Friday the replay from Thursday's webinar. Remember, I've mentioned that I was talking about the Fed, right? Talking about the Fed, that Jerome Powell said that the quarter three would be very strong, but the quarter four would be a little bit below than expected. Well, he was right again. Quarter three, we did have a massive boom on the GDP, the gross domestic product. If you don't know what the GDP is, again, is how much they produced domestically, okay, inside the US on a given time. So John Paul said, yes, we will have a very strong GDP on quarter three, but we may see some decline on quarter four, okay? And that's exactly what happened. If we see the quarter over quarter four here, the consensus was at 3.3%, the previous was at 4.9%, and the actual came in at 3.2%. So again, the central bank was right. If we heard the central bank, we would get a good trade in there. Now, did this weaken the US dollar? Well, for the minute, it did weakness the US dollar, but the US dollar was very, very strong against JPY, against as well as Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, and some other ones. So the US dollar is not weakening too much to other currencies, but it's losing for the pound and is losing for the euro. Okay, so euro dollar and pound dollar still very good to long. My opinion would be that this is still a very good position to long pound dollar and euro dollar. But this is my trade, so just advising here again and giving these multiple times. This is not an investment advice. You have to follow your strategy. You can have a look on my ideas, but it's just my own ideas. I'm not saying to you to do anything. So the GDP came at 3.2%, that's quarter over quarter, and the GDP price index, quarter over quarter four, it came higher than expected. All right, so this is why we still have some currencies weaker than the US dollar, and not only the US dollar very, very weak, because we did have something higher, not both of them, not the price index and not only the GDP came lower. So one came lower, one came higher. So that's sort of a balance momentum, balance point, okay, if you got what I mean. We did have PCE prices, we have consumer spending, core PC prices, and all this news from US came very positive as well. But they are low importance. But summing up, this gives us a good important. All right, so that was it for yesterday. Of course, for today. And we did have retail sales from Australia. Consensus was expected to be 1.6, but it came in at 1.1, so 0.5% lower than expected, okay? And this as well, fulfilling the move from yesterday, CPI month over month. Now, if you want to know a little bit more on what's going to happen ending this week, tomorrow and today, tonight, until next week, Tuesday, please go to my webinar tonight, 8 to 9 p.m. It's going to be online, Zoom. So you go to our ACY website, go into Learn, go Webinars, wait to load, okay? Wait a few seconds to load it. And then you will be able to get access to my webinar. So you register yourself, put your email in there, and then you go through, and then goes an email to your inbox. You can open the inbox and we'll have the link, all right? So I'll wait for you tonight, but before we finish, please guys, subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up on this video, share this content with your friends, because it does help us. It shows YouTube that, you know, people are liking what they're watching, and it does spread more to other people. All right, I see you tonight on my webinar, and I catch you tomorrow as well. Bye-bye.